to follow me, brother. The twisting nether feeds my strength. I have become more powerful than you could ever imagine!
I cannot let you unleash your power upon Azeroth, Wraist. If you do not yield, I will be forced to destroy you!
Destroy me? No, brother! Your blade will be—
What? What are you doing? No!
Kill this interloper, brother!
I obey.
Hello, well met. Thank you so much for stopping by. Cold Stare here, and I'm back with another World of Warcraft Mage Tower video on Halloween. And what better spec to cover on Halloween than the Affliction Warlock? I was asked in a comment on my Destruction Warlock Mage Tower guide if I could cover Affliction in the Mage Tower. And I am not very experienced in Affliction, so this did prove to be quite the challenge. Took way more attempts than I'm used to with the Mage Tower, but that's okay. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I'm a huge believer of the Mage Tower. Makes you a better player. I love doing it, so I was up for the challenge. So let's go ahead and get started. Right, we got a lot to cover, so I'm going to do a pretty deep dive on the details for this challenge. So going to talk about place-based management. Karam, once he's mind-controlled, is going to follow you, and as he's following you, he's going to drop these purple pools on the ground that are going to slow you and damage you, and they will litter the play space the longer the fight goes on. So what we want to do is try and avoid the red X's as we're running around during the encounter. Where the white arrows are, we're going to try as best we can to strafe back and forth between those. Eventually the fight will become so chaotic that it's just really difficult to pick where you want to be. You'll have no choice. There's just going to be so many adds. Karam starts to really speed up, and you'll almost not have a choice where you're going. But as long as we can manage it, as long as we can help it, we really want to try and steer Karam away from the middle. This green disc that's underneath of Wraist, consider that the area that we're really trying to avoid having him drop the pools. Again, it's unavoidable. He will drop some there, but the less we have there, the better. Because the big challenge here is that keeping Karam and the adds in the back is going to help us when Wraith summons these runes on the ground. We have to run over and stand on these ruins, because if we don't, in a certain amount of time, a giant aberration will come out. But we'll cover that more later on as we get into the fight, what happens with the whole rune on the ground and the aberration. Anyway, so Karam Mage Spear, he's now mind-controlled, and he's going to chase us the whole rest of the fight. It's our job and our priority to keep up Curse of Exhaustion on him. I'll put the macro I used in the description box below. It's really useful because you can continue to apply Curse of Exhaustion on Karam throughout the whole fight, even when you've got other things targeted, the hand, the ads. So super important, really helpful. And yeah, he's going to continue to get a stacking speed buff. So we have to continuously keep our dots rolling on him, and eventually we'll bring his health down. And for the first 2 phases, his brother Race is going to put him into Purgatory and heal him back up. Now, while Race is vulnerable, we're now switching to damaging him down. What we're trying to achieve in this fight is different than other specs that come in here. I tried to do it the way I'm used to, as you come in on balance or frost, and that is your whole priority is just to kill Race, right? But that just doesn't work in this fight. In this fight, I think you're really meant to bring down Karam. Now, the caveat to that is that Wraith, excuse me, once you kill Karam, Wraith will enrage, and of course that makes him hit a lot harder. Anyway, so as these adds spawn and start moving towards you, it's imperative that you never not Seed of Corruption them, okay? A few pulls into this, you're going to get really tempted to almost just kind of ignore them and just try and kite them. You can't do that. We're using our Vile Taint to slow the mobs. This is really important, right? You're going to use Vile Taint almost on cooldown, and if you can, try and use it on 2 mobs to use it as efficiently as you can. Now, occasionally these Hands from Beyond will spawn, right? And you can see it has a long cast timer, and this is why we have the Fell Hunter minion out to counterspell that. Now, to know if you're bringing that down fast enough, it should not get to the end of its 2nd cast and not be dead, right? If it's getting onto a 3rd cast, you're going to be in trouble. You're not bringing it down fast enough, because now multiple hands are going to start appearing, and that's almost certainly going to overwhelm you, and it's going to be a wipe. So this is kind of where it starts to get chaotic, because you also need to try as best you can to keep those dots rolling on Karam. This whole fight really punishes you the longer it goes on. Karam drops more pools, he starts running faster, the hands start overwhelming you, the ads start overwhelming you, so you have to be really efficient with your dots. Never skip, like I said, never skip getting Seed of Corruption on the ads whenever you can. Sometimes you'll see me wait, right? Like I'm just trying to wait until they're closer to race to Seed of Corruption them. But the best advice I can offer you is to not ignore these ads. It's imperative to really keep the pressure on them, the Vile Taint and the Seed of Corruption, to constantly bring them down. See, they barely graze you and it will do a huge chunk of your health. Now this right here, this is the runes I'm talking about. See that? This is why we're constantly trying to draw Karam and the ads to the other side so we can stand on the rune. It's also a good spot. You'll notice that's where I put my demonic teleportation. I also forgot to talk about this. Your demonic gateway and teleportation. It's kind of up to you, and maybe as you do it, you'll figure out where you liked it. My idea for using them was I always wanted to have a fast way to get over to that half of the play space to cover the rune. Now, a lot of videos, a lot of guides, whether it's Frost Mage, whether it's Affliction Warlock, will show you using a pet, and I even have it on my hotkey there, using your pet, your Fel Hunter, can soak that rune. Now, I'm not a huge fan of doing that because I've many times throughout this scenario on different specs, like I said, Frost Mage, the pet fails me because the Fel Hunter is a melee pet, and sometimes it's too far away, and you click on that rune to send it there, and it doesn't get there in time, and you've now wiped. I had a poll where race was at like 4%, and I wiped because my imp didn't get over there in time. So me personally, I like to physically have my character run onto the rune to soak it. That's a call you can make if you trust your minion, if you trust the mouse over movement, go for it. So, right, so we're just continuing to wear down Karam, as you can see, constantly rotating. There's never a time when you're really just sitting still in this. Always remembering to use our pet's counter spell on the hands, and never forgetting to pressure Karam. See, Karam is almost down. You also notice that I have the Sated debuff. I forgot to cover Wind. Now, some of the guides I read, I think the Wowhead guy suggests that you save your drums, your pots here, all your big cooldowns for Karam, or for Race once Karam's dead. I was struggling to get there. I kept wiping here, so I opted to use all my heavy hitting cooldowns to bring down Karam. If you're having a bind, if you're doing bind like managing all the ads and getting to the point where Race is the only one left, then yeah, feel free to save your drums and your pots for this exact moment. Now, this is where it also gets really dangerous, because now, as you can see, Race is enraged. The moment Karam dies, he enrages. So you've now seen everything. The good news is once Karam dies, we don't have to worry about the hand from beyond anymore. So that's another reason why we want to bring him down. Because when you're in here on like a Balance Druid, bringing down that hand feels so much easier. You know, a couple dots in an instant cast Star Surge almost does the job. The hand is so much easier, but all the hard casting Affliction does, right, it makes the hand much more difficult to manage, at least in my opinion. If you're an expert Affliction Warlock and you've been playing them a while, maybe it won't be a problem for you. So anyway, this is where you're going to really want to use your soul burns into Life Drain to top yourself off. Very important, because you can go from, you'll see there's a time in this clip where I go and I nearly die because Race is really hitting hard now. But we cannot forget to manage the ads. We have to keep up the pressure on them, using our Vile Taint, using our Seed of Corruption, continuing to wear them down. Same principle, always as much as we can, trying to lure them to the other half. Sometimes you'll see me I'll use Burning Rush to get over there to cover the runes, and you might wonder, well, why aren't you using your demonic teleportation or your gateway? I had several wipes where I would do that just as a mob of ads materialized right on the rune, and it was a wipe. Also, you saw me, I summoned, once Karam went down, I summoned the Imp, because I didn't need the counter spell anymore. And the Imp is more ideal if you're going to use it to cover the runes, to soak them, because it's a ranged minion. And whereas the Fel Hunter, when you send it to soak the rune, it's a melee, it's not doing anything, it's just setting there. So once Karam goes down, if you can be bothered, if you're not overwhelmed by all that, it's a good time to pull out the Imp. Now, Shadow Fury, our AoE stun, I'm going to advise you to generally try and save it for whenever the rune's up. Because sometimes, despite your best efforts, sometimes RNG is just working against you, right? And you'll run over to the rune and a mob of ads, just like you saw there, will be right next to it. that's a really good use of Shadow Fury. So we've now seen all the mechanics of the fight. This is all pretty rinse and repeat at this point now. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the clip just so it doesn't take too long. But yeah, another thing, I sometimes let it fall off here, but you also really want to try and keep Curse of Tongues on Race Mage Sphere. That's going to help you out too. It's going to take them longer to get those hard-hitting casts off. But other than that, continuing to use the Vile Taint on the ads, slowing them, our Seed of Corruption, keeping all those dots rolling on Race. Try not to get too tunnel vision. It can happen. You really want to, if you're a DBM user, you know, really use your ears in this. It announces to you, lets you know every time those runes are coming. You don't want to forget about them. See, look at how close this got. That was really scary. So save your defensives for moments like that too. Ideally too, you'll make it to this point in the encounter still having your health stone and health pot. I did not, but anyway, yeah, there it is. Race goes down. This was a really difficult challenge. Like I said at the start, this took me a few more tries than I'm used to. I generally pretty confident, go in Mage Tower and get him pretty quick. But I don't know if it's just the lack of my experience with Affliction or what. But this did prove to be pretty challenging. So anyway, in this clip, we're going to go ahead and cover the gear I had on. Right, so starting with trinkets. So I just went into my Void storage and I had the Whispering Incarnate icon and the Desperate Invoker's Codex, and I think they were pretty good choices. I liked having that on use big damage burst for when I needed it. I also did have the Aberrus tier set. If you don't have it, just do Time Rifts. You can buy 402 pieces of gear, fly up to the Creation Catalyst not far away and turn it into tier pieces. I had the Elemental Lariat and the offhand that slows the mobs. So anyway, if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!